Hello again. As we already said, we will continue this Unit 6 with some grammar structures, and today we are going to deal something or a little bit just with the second conditional sentences, and later on we are going to focus on these wish and if only structures. Okay, for the beginning, I would like you to show a short presentation on conditional sentences that you can also find on your school site. So, as you can see here, what can we say? First of all, I would like you to think about the conditional sentence structure and meaning, and just to remind yourself that we already talked about this and that we said that these are complex sentences which show us at the same time the condition, which is very important for the action, and the result of that action. And then we talked if it is possible to fulfill this condition, then we talk about real conditional sentences. But if we talk about something that can't be fulfilled, if something is imaginary or something is probable, then we are going to talk about unreal conditional sentences. So, apropos that one, we mentioned that there are four types of conditional sentences, and we also said that the first two types, zero conditional and first conditional, belong to so-called real conditionals, and the second and the third, belong those to these unreal conditional sentences. And one more thing to tell you, all those conditional sentences, no matter which type they have two sentences. One showing condition, and it is if clause, and the second one showing the result or main clause. So the order of those two sentences is not so fixed, so you can write whichever you like, the first, but you have to have in mind that if the if sentence is on the first place, you have to separate it by comma. So comma in this case is okay, a demand. So good. Last year we talked about zero conditionals, we talked about first conditionals, and I already told you that this is the time when we are going to focus on the second conditional and the third conditional sentences. As to second conditional sentences, basically we have to say that there are two main uses. The first one, when we talk about things in the future that are probably not going to be true, and you have here an example. If I won the lottery, I would buy a big house. If I won the lottery, shall I win the lottery? Do I play lottery at all? So it's improbable to happen, definitely. Okay, and the second one, we can use it to talk about something in present which is impossible because definitely it's not true. So if I had his number, I would call him. But obviously I don't have his number, and that's the reason I can't phone him. And as you can see here, this is how do we form those sentences, and in if clause we always have simple past. So if simple past, main clause is going to be would instead of will. If you can remember from the first conditional, we have here would for the second conditional. If I won the lottery, I would buy a big house. This would construction is called future in the past or conditional tense. Here are some, of course, more sentences for you to learn. And of course, this is, as you can see, an exercise. So this is for you. You will find this, I already told you, at your school site, and you will have it to do it in order to practice. For the end, you have also something like a worksheet with a song, with friend song, if I were you, which you have to download and to write down the things that they are asking from you. So if we got to know some things that are connected to our conditional sentences, let's go back to our book. And in our book, we are going to deal with something, with some exercises combining these two tenses that we have mentioned. So in if sentence, past simple, and in the main sentence, we are going to mention so the first sentence is here something like a test or a quiz that is connected to our injuries or bad health condition and of course our conditional sentences. So check your answers by listening later on. So if I had a nosebleed, I would do what? Hold my nose and look up or hold my nose and look down. So you are used to this first option. If I burnt my hand, I'd hold it under the cold water tap or put oil on it. So I wouldn't put oil definitely. If I twisted my ankle, I would put it in a bowl of the hot water or put ice on it. Twist hot water or cold. So probably it's going to be connected to cold one. If I got a black eye, I'd put ice in it or put some eye drops in it. Obviously the first. If a bee stung me, I take some antihistamine tablets or I put a plaster on the string. Why should I put a plaster? Okay, so maybe I should use these anti-allergic tablets. And if I cut my finger and it was bleeding, I would wash and dry it and then put a plaster or tie something around my wrist to stop the blood. Probably I will try to stop the bleeding. Now, these are some of the things what might happen. So I imagine what can happen in the future. So it isn't really happening. This is only my imagination. What would be if it was? Okay, now we are going to listen Dr. Maxwell's podcast and check our answers. So, so it's going to be here 3.6. Just a moment, please. 3.6, here it is.
CD3, Track 6. Welcome to our online first aid course. First of all, we'd like to check you got the right answers to the quiz. We gave you 6 minor accidents and asked you what you would do. Here's Dr. Maxwell to tell you what she would do.
Thank you. OK, number 1. If I had a nosebleed, I'd hold my nose and look down. If I looked up, the blood would go down my throat and that would be horrible. Number 2. If I burnt my hand, I'd hold it under the cold water tap. Cold water would take the pain away. Don't put oil or butter on the burn. This will make it worse. Number 3. If I twisted my ankle, I'd put ice on it very quickly. Ice is fantastic for ankles and other muscle injuries. You shouldn't put heat on a twisted ankle. That would make it worse. Number 4. If I got a black eye, I'd put ice on it for the same reasons as number 3. Eye drops could make it worse. Number 5. If a bee stung me, I'd take some antihistamine tablets. I'm allergic to bee stings, so I always have antihistamine tablets with me. I'd put ice on the sting if I didn't have any tablets. It's probably not a good idea to put a plaster on because the sting might still be in the skin. Finally, number 6. If I cut my finger, I'd wash it, dry it, and put a plaster on. It's not a good idea to stop the blood flow to the hand, so don't tie something around your wrist.
Thank you, Dr. Maxwell. If you got those right, you're ready to move on to the next part of this online first aid course.
Okay, as you can see, we have made 2 mistakes. Definitely, you shouldn't look down. You should look up, although it is a little bit, okay, or vice versa, not to look up, but to look down. In order for bleed to go, okay, down out of your body, not to go into your throat. And the last one here, if I cut my finger, it was bleeding, I would wash and dry it. So definitely it would be a proper one. So if we watch this one, we are more interested here in this structure than in a real first aid kit. And I would like you to answer those questions. Are the example sentences about real or imaginary situation? So I already told you that this is something what I imagine. So they are about imaginary situations. Are they about present, future, or past? Definitely they are going to be about present or future. And do you have to begin a conditional sentence with if? So do you have to begin? According to the one that we have here, we should always uh, begin the sentence with if, but. Not always. This is something that you have, that I told you about the order of the sentences, that you can change it. But basically, there are some options that we can't, there is no need to use this if. Sometimes we can use something else, for example, when, or some inversion, or unless. So definitely, this is, do you have to begin? No, you don't have to. So there are more options. And here is again a short explanation about the second conditional sentences, and which says you use the conditional second conditional to talk about present or future result of an imaginary situation. So if I burned my hand, I would hold it under the cold water. If I burnt, so this is obviously simple past, and I would hold it, it's going to be another construction, would or wouldn't. Okay, which I already told you, conditional tense or so-called future in the past. And here you have an exercise. So what about this? Complete the second conditional sentences with correct form of the verbs in brackets and tick the sentences that are true for you. If I didn't feel well at school, I'd go home. Is it? If I had past tense, always past tense. Hay fever, I'd always the, which is short of would, get some antihistamine tablets. I'd or I would take a cold shower if I what? Had, past tense of verb have, had sunburn. If I, again, past simple, always in if, had, sorry of my handwriting, flu, I wouldn't, so like this, I wouldn't or I would not, whatever you like, come to school. If I or I would have a cat if I wasn't or was not allergic to them. If I heard past simple mosquito in my room, I wouldn't be able to sleep. So wouldn't be able to sleep. Just to write here would. Okay. So would not be able to sleep. So these conditional sentences are not so hard for you. Just think about the sentence šta bi bilo kad bi bilo, and it's going to be much more easier for you. So first of all, you have exercise on a presentation. You have this exercise to finish here. We will do a lot more grammar, then we are going to have a homework here. and you should send me something following the instructions that you'll find. Bye bye for now and see you soon.